Yes, since it happened today, I guess I'll talk about the State of the Union address. On the whole, I think it was a good speech. I think President Trump, uh, was really trying to rally everyone under a common theme of American greatness and the identity of being American, which I know in current age, there's almost a disdain for being an American or being associated with America, even though everyone in the world wants to come here and live here and prosper here. A lot of American-born citizens, just they almost have a disdain for the title of U.S. citizenship or being an American. And so I thought it was really great, and uh, and I thought it was really great how he was paying homage to kind of the American spirit of innovation and ingenuity. Um, to try and foster this idea that we're all Americans, we're all in on this ship, and we all have different ideas on which course to set. Um, but I mean, kind of going with that ship metaphor. Right now, Trump is kind of is the captain, and so right now it's his direction, it's his vision, it's his course, and I thought he did a good job of relaying like, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm not saying that it only has to be my way, but you have to try and convince me. You can't at least, and you have to like try and convince me and not just shout at me. At least that's the sense that I was getting. I don't know. I could be wrong. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. But that's just my take. And it was funny because there's like the coalition of Democrats, who are who are strictly anti-Trump, and anything he says, like they cannot even give him an inch. But I thought, I wasn't keeping like strict tally, but I was trying, I was noticing the times that the Democratic contingent, kind of, applauded or even stood up, and it was hilarious to me that the biggest reaction or the most enthusiastic reaction came when he gave props to all like the women congressmen or the representatives, um, and it was hilarious to see just like their eyes light up, and I swear they're like I bet they're clapping so hard they would have broken their wrists. But it was also funny, like just like that, that little acknowledgement, they don't, and then again, like they almost like broke their arms and patting themselves on the back. Uh, I just thought it was so funny that was like really the only really the only, because Trump gave props and like, oh, this is the first in the history of the United States, this is the first Congress with like the most women representatives and things like that, and it's like I think it's great, and and then occasional cortex, it's like she had this huge smile, and like all the women representatives like stood up and like clap, again clapping their hands like their wrist broke, and it was just so funny to me. But again, I think, but another surprising thing was Trump's calling out of the abortion law that was passed in New York. I was surprised that he went there. I really was, because I didn't think he would explicitly go there. I would think that he would kind of make a nod, or he'd make some subtle reference to it, but no, he called it out straight, head on. And I shouldn't be that surprised, because Trump is that kind of personality where he'll just tackle something head on, or he approaches something directly. And so I was really surprised that he was so he explicitly called that out, and he called it a tragedy, that that we're not trying to protect life, and the right of life is enshrined in our Constitution. The life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, that kind of thing. So it was so important to the founders that it was actually put within our founding documents, life. And I think it's about time that we recognize life. Even as a cluster of cells, as some people on the left are so quick to categorize a baby, because I'm sure if they found a cluster of cells on a distant world out there in the solar system, or in the galaxy, they would call that evidence of life. And so I would challenge, and I would question if it's signs, if it be considered life out there, why isn't it considered life here, inside of a woman? So I think so again, really surprised that the president did that, but I shouldn't be. Overall, I think there's a lot of good things said during the State of the Union address, and and I think there was enough there for lawmakers, legislators to come to the table and be like, all right, let's try to work together for the sake of all Americans. And of course, one of the biggest things that the Dems weren't particularly pleased with is when he talked about border security, and and of course Trump had in the gallery a family who was affected by illegal immigration with the it just happened. I can't even remember. Take notes next time, stupid. A family, I think that they were robbed or by illegal aliens. Oh God, I'm so terrible. I can't remember yet. It was just they were definitely affected by. I mean, they were robbed, or someone's family, like I think the father husband was murdered. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I'm really sorry. I can't remember the specifics right now. But it's just I think this idea that that we hate immigrants, or that America is like this xenophobic culture, but it's not that. It's not that at all. I mean, my family are immigrants. I'm the first generation American. I'm a first generation American in my family. I was born here, but my family came here legally. They went through the process, and they immigrated here legally. My parents and my sisters, they had their green cards, and then they eventually became U.S. citizens, legally. And that's all we're saying. It's just play by the rules. You know, just because you come from a kind of crappy country, and you're struggling financially, does not make you a refugee. And actually, a refugee actually has a legal definition. There are certain criteria that must be met to be considered refugee. And just because you come from a terrible country where the government's failing and the economy is collapsing, does not make a refugee, or does not qualify you to seek asylum as a refugee. And also, even seeking asylum is there's a specific procedure to go through, because it's not just whatever country you want. It's the first of available country that's that'll take that you kind of come to. So let's say like someone was seeking asylum, who was coming from the country of Jordan. They went to Israel, and Israel would be the first country that that they that would be would fall under the rules, under the rules for seeking asylum. This is the first available country. It's not just it's not like when what if that person wanted to go to Greece, but they had to go through Israel and through Lebanon and through Turkey. There's 3 other countries, but the criteria or the procedure for seeking asylum is to go to the first available country, meaning the first country that you can get to, and not necessarily the country that you want to be in. It was funny because I remember as I was listening to the State of the Union address, a friend, I kind of jumped onto on social media, and then just to kind of see get the pulse of people that I know and people around me. And I remember one of my friends, they put up a little thing just like build bridges, not walls. Probably it was around the time when President Trump was talking about building a wall or steel barrier structure thing. And it's how and I just found it just funny, or odd, because you always hear like, oh, build bridges, not walls. No person is illegal. You hear these, you kind of hear this this rhetoric, and you start, but I want to ask these people, like, have you ever really thought of what you're saying? Have you ever really stopped to think about what you're actually saying, or what you're actually kind of supporting or backing up? Because it's like it's like when they say there's nothing immoral about a wall. Walls are for protection, and I'm in that way I'm with the president, saying I want to, and even the president has said himself that we build walls not to say I hate the people out there. It's I love the people in here, and that's all it is. That's really all it is. I mean, our world is filled, like this room right now has walls, and they're not evil. I mean, it just separates my room from my roommates and things like that. It just it separates from and denotes just a specific space. my room, and then over on behind this next wall is the bathroom. I don't want the bathroom to be directly part of my room. So let's block it off and make it have the bathroom have its own space. My room is my own space. God. Whoops, sorry. Technical difficulties. My camera. Hold on. There it is. There it is. And not to say that I'm not for building bridges or building understanding, but we shouldn't circumvent the things that are put in place to protect us. And if this person meant that we have to build bridges of understanding with each other, then I'm all for that. I mean, who would not be for that? But I hope they mean build bridges between between the parties. Having true bipartisan, bicameral government. Not just like having a uniparty or a monoparty. Because I just don't think that'd be very helpful. Is all. So yeah, it's just kind of rambling there for the last couple of minutes. But yeah, State of the Union, generally positive things, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next, especially since the government is only back back on essentially for another week or a few more days, because Trump said that he was going to reopen the government for 3 weeks so that the federal employees could get their paychecks and their back pay. Let's not forget that point. So, but after that 3 weeks, if Congress doesn't get budget, doesn't come up with a budget where they address the president's desire, or funding for the wall, then they'll just be back to square one. And I hope that the Democratic majority starts playing ball, because all I hear is like, oh, Trump is being this or Trump is being that. It's like, well, Trump offered 3 different compromises to the initial budget proposal, and the Democratic leadership, turned down all 3 of them, without offering a compromise of their own. They are, and that's just not the way to get things done. It's just and kind of taking it back to basics, but compromise. The old definition for compromise is like saying neither side being happy. And right now, the Democrats, in all fairness, are trying to have it their way, 100% of the time. They're not trying to concede anything, which is ridiculous and kind of hypocritical. Or not hypocritical, but it's just kind of, it's like, it's like a bunch of children. They're just like stomping their feet, saying, "I want, I want, I want." And in the meantime, you have these federal employees that weren't, they didn't get their paychecks, and Trump had to give a little bit for even them, for even the employees to get their money. He offered three different solutions. All some of it including DACA reform, saying like, okay, I'll give you funding for 3 years. You give me at least like five billion, which is like really literally nothing. And they still said no. And, and so yes, I hope going forward they're able to come up with a solution.